Welcome to Signs Unscripted. I'm Robin Donovan, Signs of the Times editor-in-chief, and with me today is...
Hey Sign fam, this is Grant Freking, associate editor of Signs of the Times.
Nice, you got your signature line in there and everything.
I know, I gotta copyright that thing.
You do. So Grant, you're here today to talk to us about a couple new things that we're doing with Signs of the Times. First is the Sign Strong e-newsletter that first you and I were working on, and now you've been working on with some other folks. So what is that newsletter all about?
Right, well first, things have changed quite a bit since I came on your podcast in late February to talk about Makers Tomorrow, right? But yeah, Sign Strong is our twice weekly free subscription-based newsletter. It differs from the regular newsletter that people who subscribe to that get on Wednesday afternoons. Includes sort of need-to-know bits, some sign folks we put in there. We also stick a meme or two to lighten the mood at the end. It's meant to be informative, but with bite-sized bits of information. And hopefully it provides people with sort of like a deep breath to give them something that's a little bit of a distraction, but also is informative in the way they conduct their business.
Yeah, I think the most fun part of it for me was finding the meme that we put in every time.
Yeah, that's each time we put that together.
Yeah, and so folks, it's a subscription only. We sent it out to everyone a couple times, but you can visit signsofthetimes.com to subscribe. So it's an opt-in. We didn't want to flood your inboxes. And Grant, you also, I don't know how you got so lucky, but you also wrote call it the COVID-19 feature for our next May issue. So tell me about that.
So we pivoted quickly to COVID-19 in the sign industry. So this feature is broken down in essentially three different parts. We talked to sign companies and how they've been affected, good, bad, ugly, what their plans are, short-term and long-term. Some of them are pretty forthright with us. Some are concerned. Some are cautiously optimistic. So they're all over the board. The second part is gathering a lot of information on manufacturers and their responses and reactions. And going deeper a little bit on that and how a lot of them have been aiding the healthcare and hospital industry and the frontline workers in different ways by changing their production lines or altering their production lines to, for example, produce like face masks. And then the third portion is the great unknown. What does the future hold for the sign industry? And for this, we reached out and got comments from Lori Anderson, the head of ISA, and then Ford Bowers, the head of SGIA, as well as some other people, sign people, to sort of take the temperature of how they feel the short and long-term repercussions. We're excited to present it to the audience, and I think we'll get some good information out of it.
So what are you kind of anecdotally hearing from people? Because I know from talking to our board members, it was similar to what you described for your sources, kind of a mix where some people are still working, some people are partially working. And I also know from our first webinar that we did about SBA loans that a lot of people are really concerned about the longevity of mom and pops. So what did you hear when you were interviewing folks for the story?
All over the board, many of the same concerns. Many are almost operating pretty much business as usual, with the exception of the ramped up safety and health regulations that they have to follow. They're office people staying at home, essential by contract only, because of their contracts with healthcare companies, hospitals, things of that nature. So those people tend to be a little bit more optimistic because they still have cash coming in. People are paying for projects. So they're able to pay their employees. Some are a little more concerned. Some have had to furlough their staff. Some are definitely interested, and hopefully many of them attended the webinar on the SBA loans and also the CARES Act that can provide them with a lot of assistance. Not a lot of assistance in some cases, but can provide them some guidance and hopefully a little bit of a pick-me-up in the near future to hopefully help them ride out the storm.
Yeah, and I think if anyone's curious, I just spoke with an upcoming speaker who will be doing a webinar with us on April 13th, which is next Monday, very soon, and did kind of ask I was talking to his PR person and asked a little bit about sole proprietors and that sort of thing. And they indicated that there was more guidance going to be released on Friday the 10th. So I think there's still a lot of questions and a lot of unknowns, and we're seeing people already pivoting to, in some cases, really altruistic things like producing medical equipment. But also, we're seeing people doing partial layoffs and asking really good questions like, what happens if you lay someone off and then they don't, and then you want to get an SBA loan, so you decide to retract the layoff, and then that person doesn't want to come back to work, and those are really interesting questions, and some of those things we're still waiting to figure that out ourselves. So interesting times. So how's working from home going for you, Grant, since our team is working remotely?
Right. Yeah, we're about a month into, I think, purely working from home. It's been nice to actually, since you're based in Portland and the rest of the Science and Time staff is based in Cincinnati, we typically only get to see you in person, during trade shows, and then the handful of times you come and see us in Cincinnati. So we've been seeing you a lot more often via. It seems like every company in the world is using right now. So that's been nice. It's definitely a little bit of an adjustment. Sitting there by yourself and not having anyone to just pop over the cube and talk to every day. But I think we're all functioning well. We're still able to produce the magazine. We're constantly updating articles online to help the industry stay informed on sign product accessibility, cancellations, postponements, and reschedulings of the trade shows and conventions. And we've got some more stuff up our sleeve too. So I hope people are staying tuned to us.
Yeah, definitely. You can check our news tab on signsofthetimes.com for the information that Grant's referencing. I can also tell you that we've gotten invitations to reapply for speaking for both the ISA Sign Expo and the DSE show, which is Digital Sign Expo. And what I think that indicates is that they're actually rethinking their content to be able to incorporate some COVID-19 related things, or I'm sure some SBA loan type of things. So I thought that was curious. Like, they're not just rescheduling the whole show, they are actually rethinking the educational content as well. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because ISA is August 23rd or something like that now. And so they've got months to think about that. So it's a brave new world, Grant.
It's a brave new world, and I think it's our new normal for a while. But that doesn't mean it has to be all doom and gloom. I think everyone's got to make some adjustments, and we'll get through this thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I like that we've done is we've kind of committed to providing a mix of content. So we're doing some like your feature, some things that are really focused in on the pandemic and those impacts, and the webinars that are really targeted. But then also we're still doing some of our normal coverage. We'll still be talking about projects. So there's that information and entertainment piece that we're still committed to, which I like, because I know at first it seemed, and I thought about, well, is it just frivolous to be writing about awesome signs when people aren't sure if their business can survive? But I think that information still also needed. So I hope we're finding the right balance. I'm trying to find the right balance.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think we're doing a good job so far, but perhaps that's not for me to judge.
Yeah, well, if you're reading and you want to send us any questions, comments, feedbacks, or things you'd like us to cover, you can email me at robin.donovan@stmediagroup.com. And my email address is all over the internet if you need help spelling any of that. So, Grant, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and chat with me today, and for doing everything that you do for our audience. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Robin.